Hello and welcome. I'm Master Lama Rasaji, and this is our Monday edition of Rasaji Speaks. I hope you had a wonderful Easter weekend and you celebrated and you had a good. As we come to the end of the Lenten season, we now move into the time of the Assumption, and now the word spread. Jesus lives, right? So the title today is Walking with Jesus, and that's reflecting on his experience after the resurrection. Think about it. It's very powerful, right? Well, let's tell you things that you know from reading scripture. He's going to people individually. He's telling after the 36 hours where he appears, which was not accurate. Jesus didn't appear Sunday. He appeared actually Monday. So that was actually 36 hours. That's something incorrect. Scripture refers to him the very same day on Easter, but he's not. He spends all day Easter coming to Mary and John the Beloved. By the time Jesus appears in the upper room, 36 hours later, which is actually Monday night, Jesus has already appeared to like half of them individual. But now people are starting to see him on street corners. Some people are seeing him who never walked with him, that knew nothing about the crucifixion and heard it through him. But when he would show up and begin to talk, they would look closely, the ones that knew he was crucified, and he carried the wounds with him just for identity's sake. He didn't really have to say who he was. He showed them his hands, his wrists, his side from time to time, did the Thomas thing over several times. Also, the part that's not known is that he had already appeared with John. Now, John is resurrected, but not in the way, that you would think. But John in spirit form is coming back to the Essenes, and so is Jesus. Jesus makes reference to the Essenes, and he finds Mother Mary there. And when he finds Mother Mary, she has already seen him in the upper room. So he spent some time with Mother Mary. And again, Jesus reiterates that, Mom, you're supposed to go and stay in John the Beloved's home. See, in that days, they were always looking for a man. If the husband had died, Joseph, if you remember, passes on right before Jesus's ministry starts. About 6 months to a year before the ministry starts, Joseph passes. Jesus is like 28, 29 years old. So there was a big deal. If there wasn't a son or a cousin or a nephew to look after the woman, they always had a man, because a woman that was by herself in those days, that they were a huge target to be sold into slavery, to be sexually abused or whatever. They were a huge target. Just a woman was protected in those days that way. Well, Jesus knew that John was Boganathar. He knew who he was. He knew about his days as Hanuman and Krishna and Patanjali. He knew he had a warrior for a little brother. And he knew that he would protect Mary with his own life. That's what he knew, because he was the walking epitome of chivalry, of honor and respect. So during this visit, it was about, I guess, 9 to 10 days after the resurrection, John and Mary were there with the Essenes, and Jesus was giving discourse. That discourse went on for a couple of hours. Again, After the discourse was done, Jesus was breaking bread just like he did in the Last Supper. But now they're sitting around, they're drinking water. A couple of them were tasting a little bit of wine. There was fish. There was pita bread. There was all kind of a feast. And the feast was a celebration for Jesus's resurrection. And that's what went on there. There was only a couple of apostles, half a dozen disciples, most were women, and then part of the Essene group itself. This was a group of about 30 or 40, huge fire pit in the middle, the kind that we're going to have in the lamasery. It was at least 5 to 10 feet wide, probably 2 to 3 feet deep. And that pit was constantly burning. And we sit around, we sung hymns, we talked old scripture, and this went on for quite a while. And then Jesus gives a message that's really pertinent at this time, saying that he will be around that 40-day period, and then for a while he will be gone. He'll disappear, and over 99% of the people will not see him. And the only ones that will see him will have to raise their vibration. They'll have to learn to pray without ceasing. They'll have to learn to fast. Everything is setting up for a time. It's about this time that Saul, who will become Paul, is early persecuting the new Christians. And the government, through Pilate, which his days are very numbered, are trying to convince the Jewish people that the apostles and the disciples stole the body so that they wouldn't think it was resurrection. But too many people were seeing it everywhere that you go. By the time Jesus goes in 40 days, there'll be several hundred people that will actually interact with Jesus. Of course, the apostles half a dozen times, disciples 3 to 6 times. And those people will be so motivated that it'll put gasoline off on a fire of the Christian movement that initiates that. Weeks later, when Saul's on the road to Damascus, he will become the shepherd of that fire, and he will be the one that takes it out to Capernaum and to all the Antioch. It'll be in Antioch where we'll use that first name, Christian, which means follower of the teachings of the Christ. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow or Tuesday on Rasaji Speaks. Baraka Bashai, may the blessings be to you and to your glorious family. Look forward to seeing you guys in Tucson. I'm excited about Tucson. God bless you all, and I'll see you really soon. God bless.